My name is Andrew St. Pierre White. I'm an adventure travel filmmaker. I've been doing this kind of filmmaking for about 11 years now. Previous to that, my expertise was mainly in editing TV commercials and the production of documentaries. I have recently swapped my Canon 5D Mark III for the Canon A7S. These are my findings. I hope you will find them useful. The A7S, of course, is marvelous in low light. We all know that. Well, why is marvelous in low light nice? Apart from the fact that you can shoot in low light, which is the obvious one. This morning, it's pretty dark out, very, very early in the morning. This is the Normandy beaches. I'm doing a documentary here. And I've been able to shoot at first light. At first light, which would have been impossible for the Canon. Now I think the Canon would cope. So the wonderful thing about low light is that when you're shooting, normally you would be, cranking up the Canon's ISO and shooting fully open. Whereas here you don't have to shoot fully open. So I shot a talk to camera this morning and I needed depth of field, but there was very little light. A Canon, it would have been wide open or nothing at all. This, I could shut it down to 5.6, had the depth of field I needed, no problem at all. The amazing thing about the A7S is that when you do crank up the ISO, you can crank it up pretty high before noise arrives, before the image becomes horrible. It's remarkable in low light, absolutely remarkable, and it allows certain freedom. I decided to shoot at first light this morning because I could. Otherwise I wouldn't have bothered. I would have come out probably about now. A key advantage is the codec. That's of course the compression, onboard compression. I'm not going to talk about 4K. The Canon 5D doesn't do 4K. The A7S does 4K internal. It doesn't do it internally. You need an external recorder. I'm not at the 4K stage yet in my filmmaking, although it's right there. I'm not got there at this point. I didn't buy it because it was ultra high res compatible, 4K compatible, ready, 4K ready, whatever you want to call it. I didn't buy it because of that. I bought it really because of two things. The codec promised much more than the Canon's codec. So the compression inside the camera, it is so much better than the Canon. What more do I need to say? It is chalk and cheese. It is so different that alone, if nothing else, is worth moving over to the Sony. It is wonderful, the tonality and the tonality, just the way the pictures look. Wonderful, really, really nice. Such a big improvement. The other reason why it's easier to use than the Canon, turns out, and I suspect that this might be the case, is that to shoot with the Canon you have to have some kind of loop. And as far as I'm concerned, shooting and trying to focus on a screen is completely impossible. Because you need a tripod, you need 1, 2, and a forehead or an eyepiece to hold it steady. If you hold it at a distance, so you've got your frame like this moving around, you actually won't see the camera shake. Your eye will actually fix on the subject within your frame and it'll be moving it around. It doesn't help good camera work, having an external monitor. You need an eyepiece. You need to cut out the background because then you see every blemish, you see every camera shake. You can compose accurately. I just don't see how it's possible, and I've been doing this a long time, how it's possible to focus on a screen like this. Yeah, you can see your frame and you can crop it reasonably well, but that's all. So I really don't think it's a good idea. And of course with the A7S, you've got an electronic eyepiece. Now, if you've got a loop on the back of the camera, you go into live view, the mirror flips up, and now projects the image via the lens straight onto the focus to the screen on the back, which you now look at. So that's in effect a digital viewfinder, isn't it? Through the eyepiece of the A7S, it's digital, it's never optical, it's a mirrorless camera. But it is such a good viewfinder I mean, it's a very good viewfinder. It's bright, it's crisp, it's clear, it's very easy to focus, and well, the whole camera weight and is just so much less cumbersome. It's easier to use. It's just altogether better. Audio is better in the Canon. In the Sony. It's better in the Sony. It comes with a small little clip thing that it protects the cables, which is really, really smart. It's very clever. It's well thought out. I use it all the time. The audio quality from the Sony is better. It's just better. I think the preamp inside the camera is better. It is just better quality. Lenses. I'm using a Zeiss 70 24-70. I was using on my Canon as my standard lens the 24-105. Which is the better lens? The Zeiss is the better lens. It's better for stills and it's better for video. Which way is it better? I think the tonality of the Canon, I think I preferred a little bit. This is not a deal breaker. But the sharpness and the aberrations, Zeiss is the better lens. Definitely the better lens. Even for video, especially for stills, but even for video. The other very nice thing about the Sony A7S is that I can switch from APS sensor to full frame. So which means if on full frame I've got 24mm, I then go to 70. If I then switch that over to APS, I'm getting about 100 or so, a little more than 100. So I'm getting the same lens range as I had with the Canon, but I'm getting better quality. A zoom lens, as soon as you have a long range, 100 to 400 or something, as soon as you go a long range, especially from wide to tele, you lose quality. You have to, it's in the lens design. So from 24 to 70 is a bit of a stretch already. The lens is working quite hard to produce really good quality. So it's going to be better than a lens that can go all the way to 110. It just is going to be better. And the Zeiss lens is better. It's a much lighter package. It's easier to use. The menu system on the Canon is better. It's easier to understand. But I must say this though, that the A7S's menu are not as frightening and scary as some of the other NEX cameras. The NEX 7, I've got a NEX 7. The menus are terrible. They really are terrible. They're so complicated and you can never find anything. And not the case with the A7S. They are a bit complex, more complex than the Canon, but not scarily complex. And I've got used to them. And I'm quite happy with them now. Would I swap? I wouldn't. Yes! Completely! It's a much better camera. It just is a much, much better camera. One caveat. It's much better for video. For stills, the argument is out. I make no claim either way. Of course, stills, it's a much smaller still frame. But for what I do, I need large pictures on web and maybe an A4 spread in a magazine. A7S does the job. I hope that's useful.